Calling in today, we have a regular contributor, John Hughes. Thank you for joining me, John.
Nice to be here.
And where are you calling in from?
So I'm based in the UK. I mean, I have lived in different parts of the world and taught English in various places, but currently I'm based in the UK. And I spend a lot of my time training teachers online, doing some teaching, and the majority of my work is writing course books and writing course book material for different publishers, but particularly National Geographic Learning at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay. And because for the January-February edition of MET, you've written a step-by-step description of one of your favorite classroom activities. Before explaining the activity, what's the purpose of this one?
Well, it's primarily a speaking activity. It's to develop fluency. When I use it in the class, I don't focus too much on accuracy because there's a real problem-solving element to it. So it's kind of challenging cognitively for students, but it develops their sort of team building skills, collaborative skills, problem solving skills. So it's a task that they would have to think about quite hard anyway. And then of course they're using English to do that. If there is a sort of grammatical area, it's focused very much on imperatives because it's discussing a process. And generally in spoken processes, we use imperatives. I mean, sometimes course books say use the passive form, but actually if you really listen to, say, a group of people talking about processes, they tend to use imperatives and so on, and some modal verbs. And then I use it for teaching expressions for problem solving, like things like, well, if we do that, what would happen? And we could try that. So there's the language of suggestion, recommendations, that kind of functional language comes into it as well.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So could you describe this activity? How do you do it?
Well, it's what I call the mousetrap activity. I kind of created it a long time ago. I started teaching 30 years ago, and I probably invented it about 25 years ago. And it's, you know, you have those kind of go-to activities that often work in your lessons. This is one of them. And normally when I've shared it with other teachers, it's just one of those activities that work well. So the basic principle is that students have a problem. There's a mouse in the building, either in their office or their workplace or their place of study, and they need to catch the mouse, but they have to do it with kind of crazy objects, and it's quite a nice one for revising and recycling vocabulary. So at the beginning of the activity with the whole class, I brainstormed 7 objects, and there's things like, I might be trying to elicit things like a huge wheel or something sticky, so they say glue or sellotape, or a really large animal, and they suggest a lion or an elephant, and you come up with these 7 kind of crazy objects, and then you tell them about the mouse, and you say you have to design a mouse trap. And I guess there was a game I played as a kid called a mouse trap, where you built this crazy contraption, so it's kind of, the idea has come from that, I guess. Anyway, the students get into groups, they construct it, they draw it. So there's lots of problem solving, lots of group discussion, and then the group has to present their new invention to the rest of the class. And I originally created it because I worked in a car factory in Italy for about 6 months, and I was working with engineers. So I was always looking for sort of problems and things, the language of problem solving and technology to get them using. And I used to use this activity just for a bit of fun. So they weren't endlessly talking about cars, but they were using their kind of engineering skills to come up with other ideas. And it worked well with them. And then I used it with a class of general English students, and it worked equally well. And I've gone on using it as just a sort of fun kind of group activity. You can use it for particular language points, like I've said, sort of language of imperatives, for example, but actually it's just one of those fun fluency activities you can throw into the mix, and it'll work in most types of lessons.
Yeah, it sounds really creative, and yeah, I love it. I'm going to try it.
Well, it's nice because you don't have to prepare anything. There's no photocopying, there's no materials. It all comes from the students. You know, it's like you elicit the 7 items from them, and then they go off, and it's really only limited by their imagination. So
Yeah,
it's a nice one from that point of view.
that's really nice. Oh, thanks for sharing that with us, John.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much. Nice talking.
Nice to speak
Right.
to you.